Let's get back to hoops. We've got other boys basketball teams still alive in the playoffs. They're going to be playing games on Friday night. Milliken on the road, Compton at home. Two great stories, two very different stories, though.
About as different as you could be. Compton just had head coach Tony Thomas text us after the game and said it was a classic game, and Tyler and I were sort of laughing and saying, well, it was definitely a classic Compton game. Right. Because they're down by 7 points with 2 minutes left. Who cares? They somehow come back and tie it with a free throw to win the game with 7 seconds left, miss the free throw, and then manage to kind of run away with it in overtime. So, I mean, this team has always had the talent, and it's just always been a question of, do they hit the level of their talent, I think, with their execution. And to get into the semifinals is a good step for them because they literally have 0 seniors on the team.
Well, and Compton basketball always has a certain personality. You know what I mean? And it's always, if you know that you want an entertaining playoff run, watch Compton. It just, for whatever reason, they find, the way they ended in the playoffs last year was obviously, it was controversial and heartbreaking, but...
Right. There's people who like going to the museum and taking in great pieces of art, and there are people who enjoy going to Six Flags and screaming and being freaked out. And that's, that latter experience is the Compton basketball experience.
Speaking of personality, Milliken's got some personality this year. A year after not winning a single Moore League game, they've won back-to-back playoff games at home in front of the raucous Milliken crowd that has turned the Howard F. Lyons gym into a show. I mean, it's really been cool to watch how much that school is just enjoying how good that team has become this year under first-year head coach Chris Francis.
Well, and it's been such a quick turnaround. I mean, we've talked about this before, but this team did not win a Moore League game last year, and now they've already won 2 playoff games.
With swagger.
And he basically wrote the book on turning a program around. You got a new coach. You've got some new players.
Well, they only have one player back from last year.
Exactly. You've got an easily identifiable system that you play into perfectly.
S-T-Y-L-E style.
It is what it is. They do what they do. They've done it well. They have depth. They play hard. I've never seen them get out-hustled in a game.
I think you'd have to say it's inspired basketball. Because there's certainly, when you look at the physical makeup of that roster and you hear, this team's 0-12 last year, certainly if we'd put together a poll, I mean, what would you say would be the highest you would have imagined Milliken? I did their preview, talked to Chris Francis for a while. I would have maybe said 4th in the Moore League in a first-round playoff exit. Certainly didn't think they were going to go from 0-12 to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, we did not really see them as a playoff team. They were totally off our radar, and you couldn't blame us. We knew nothing about what was going to happen.
They came into the league schedule, I believe they were like 1-9 because they'd forfeit games.
Because they'd had some forfeits, and we didn't know the new players that they were bringing in. We didn't necessarily know. We had an idea of what things would look like under Francis.
Well, and I told you guys, I was like, I heard this Malik Marquetti kid's pretty good. But we were still a month away from actually seeing him play because he had that 30-day ineligibility. So they were an enigma wrapped in a mystery, wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, in a necklace around the Joker's neck.
Now, they have a 4th Long Beach team alive, which if you want to talk about storylines,
thank you.
Rancho Dominguez Prep is as different a storyline. I don't know that we've ever seen a more unique storyline.
Still getting used to it.
It's the first year that I totally understand why you'd overlook them because, I mean, it's easy to overlook a team that's playing their 25th game in the history of the school in the LA City section semifinals this Saturday.
Feature on that team at GazetteSports.com right now. Shout out to your boy, Ryan Zumalin, for doing a great job on that story.
Cruising, but the Lobos certainly trying to make incredible history. They just had an undefeated league championship season in their first year of existence, and now Coach Spoon has got them in the semifinals like we said on Saturday. So really a lot to be excited about, plus girls basketball obviously continues to roll along as well. Facility that I think most people in Long Beach have a connection to is the Belmont Plaza Olympic Pool. I learned to swim in that pool as a little kid. A lot of Olympic swimmers, including Jessica Hardy, sort of had the same experience. And I think it's one of those things you look at as a big representative of Long Beach's aquatics community. Obviously, recently, January 10th, it was shut down because of seismic concerns. City officials felt that even a, quote, moderate earthquake could knock the building over. So, concern, I think, a fair word there.
That's fair.
Safe to say. The plan then was to rebuild the pool as a what they call a recreational facility only. What that means is that it would be 3 to 5 feet, kind of a kiddie pool, essentially. They're going to rebuild a facility that's like the only public dive facility in Southern California. And obviously a pool with tremendous history, continues to occasionally host the Pac-12 championships. We actually stumbled across those at a friend's wedding just a couple years ago, JJ.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Another reason why Long Beach is, well, Long Beach.
Yeah, we're at Ryan Zamalin's wedding, and we're standing in the reception room, and I go, man, I swear I can hear people swimming, and we didn't even realize the building we were in, like, overlooked the Belmont, but we pulled the curtain aside, and we're like, oh, there's USC and UCLA in the 100-meter sprint right now. Hilarious. But, so, that it's moments like that, though, that to me are like, okay, we need to have a competitive pool. The aquatics community did a phenomenal job of uniting, bringing in big names like Greg Louganis, obviously Jessica Hardy, even Misty May, kind of putting her voice behind the movement to say, hey, we need a competitive facility because this is how we think of ourselves. This is how we want to continue thinking of ourselves. The editor of The Grunion, Harry Saltzgaver, I thought did a great job kind of starting that movement, and the media really did a phenomenal job getting behind it. Bob Kaiser had a great front page story on the Press Telegram the day of the vote, encouraging people to understand this is part of our history. Long Beach is a city that dips into its bank account to build Veterans Memorial Stadium, to build a great civic center, to build Belmont Plaza in the first place, and to say this is something we want to hang on to. Sure enough, that night the city council agrees to do the same thing, and we're now in the planning stages, still a long way to go, of building a competitive facility that will have deep water for water polo, long enough track for swimming, and a diving tower that'll cost an additional $4 million so that competitive divers can continue to train there.
Now, if you follow local Long Beach stories about things getting built, you know nothing's done until it is absolutely done. So stay tuned to this story, because you don't know what turns it might take.
No idea what you're talking about.
And I really hope the update is that it's getting done. Boy, what a week for the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh my.
Excuse me, hold on, guy. While you're recording this podcast, I'm going to go goof around, if you don't mind. I'm just going to not focus on the podcast.
Cover of Sports Illustrated this week.
On.
Top of the line. Inside the Lakers disaster. And then it just says on the left corner, plus, Jerry Buss died. It's like, holy moly. Can we get a break? Jack McCallum wrote the story for SI, and it is scathing.
Dr. Buss dying kind of feels like the rotten peanut on top of the turd sandwich that has been this season, doesn't it? It's just, but seriously, because as Lakers fans, haven't we all kind of been looking at each other like, how can this get worse, man? And then Dr. Buss dies, and it's like, well, I guess that was how it could have gotten worse.
We just referenced the credit pie given to Bart Roper. If there is a blame pie to be handed out to this Laker disaster, quote unquote, who gets the biggest slice right now?
Dwight!
Dwight didn't bring himself to the team, though. And he didn't fire a coach and hire perhaps the wrong coach.
No. You're talking about different people there. Because Mitch Kupchak may bring Dwight Howard, but Jim Buss is hiring D'Antoni.
So,
who gets the bigger piece?
To me, I look at the organization first and foremost as a problem. And to me, I don't know. I don't fault Mitch Kupchak. We were all, I think, rightfully excited to have the team assembled that was assembled, but it certainly has not been run in the right way. To be completely honest with you, I don't necessarily fully get behind the criticism of Dwight Howard as like the end-all, be-all of what's going wrong right now. The guy's still in recovery from back surgery and is averaging a double-double.
No, I respect the fact that he's hurt, but some of the comments that have been made and the just general effort in certain points of the game, it just you have to take a back seat in a certain way. You know what I mean? You have to understand that being a part of a championship team is bigger than you and bigger than what you want to do in your personal life.
He's hurt, guys. This team has been hurt all year. It started with Steve Nash.
That's a great
continued
point.
with the bench, and then
an injured roster was
Powell's
assembled.
not coming back, y'all. I'm sorry to break the news, but that plantar fasciitis is not to be messed with.
I was listening to Max and Marcellus shortly after Kobe made the comments, essentially calling Dwight out for not playing through injury, which is, as Marcellus said, is kind of against every locker room code that professional athletes abide by.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
But he was like, when he did that, it was like things were going well. It's like we won 4 of the last 5, I believe it was, or 4 of the last 6, but they were, including against Oklahoma City. It was like things were going well, and as Marcellus said, he's like, you don't criticize an overweight woman when she just got home from the gym and she's sweaty, and you know what I mean? Don't wait till the effort is being made and then dynamite it. It's like things seem like they're going in the right direction. Kobe comes out and says that. Suddenly Dwight's dad is in the media. And it was like things just got quiet and we were playing good basketball for the first time this year.
Yeah, well,
so to me, I kind of point fingers at everybody, to be honest. Not to dodge your question, but who's done the right thing? Steve Nash, I guess?
And Steve Nash has looked quite old.
And he's not looking good.
Earl Clark.
Earl Clark's out there doing the right thing.
He's out there getting it.
Spike Lee joint.
But otherwise, it's like no single person has made me feel like they're subjugating themselves to the greater good.
But Dwight Howard has not been Dwight Howard. Whether it's his fault in every situation or not, at the end of the day, the reason the Lakers aren't the team we thought they were going to be is because Dwight Howard has not been the player that we thought he was going to be.
Right. Well, absolutely. I mean, and knowing people who've gone through back surgery, I can't necessarily say that that's like shocking to me, and I cannot imagine. My grandpa was 6'8", and we saw the problems he had with his back just from being that tall. But to be 7 foot tall and be recovering from back surgery is not like being 6 foot and recovering from back surgery. And I'll tell you, as someone who's done anything to their back, I mean, I'm not hustling for anything.
Prediction time. What seed or rank, however you want to say it, in the West is the Lakers at the end of the year?
I don't care. We're getting the 7th seed.
7th seed. Ahead of the Jazz or ahead of the Rockets?
Ahead of the... What? So who's 6, 7, 8 right now?
Rockets.
It's in what order? The Rockets, Jazz...
And us. We are below the 8th seed. We are 3 games back of the 8th seed. So we would have to pass the Rockets or the Jazz. Or the Trailblazers.
Well, I think we passed the Trailblazers and the Jazz.
Okay. Tyler?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think we get the 7 and hopefully play San Antonio, and then we'll probably lose in Sixers.
Has there ever been...
I think we sneak in at the 8.
We say this about the Spurs every year. Has there ever been a team with the best record in the NBA that gets less attention than the Spurs?
We're not talking about them.
That's what they want.
We're not talking about the Spurs on this show.
I know, but they're not boring. They're leading the league in scoring. I don't think I've seen them on a nationally televised game, and they have fewer losses than the Heat, the Thunder, or the Clippers.
I mean, whatever.
We're not talking about it. One thing, rapid fire, what are you looking forward to this weekend in local sports?
I'm hoping that the Dirtbags can keep their trend of beating the number 10 team in the country alive.
For me, I'm definitely thinking basketball. In the back of my head is Long Beach State's Bracket Buster game, but really I'm focused on the high school boys basketball teams, and I'm hoping to get 3 of the 4 wins, hopefully.
Long Beach is playing some of the best teams and best players in Southern California. They're holding their own right now. Here's hoping that continues. We couldn't do anything at GazetteSports.com and in the sports section at the Gazette newspapers, the Grunion Gazette, without our fantastic list of sponsors.
Naples Rib Company, the title sponsor of GazetteSports.com, sponsor of every single thing we do, and of course our supporting sponsor, McCarty's Jewelry, here for you since 1932.
We've also got Los Alamitos Cardiovascular here for you for 31 years. The Sleep Center also at Friedman's is open so that you can go get yourself a mattress and lay your head down nicely. And when you're at one of the GazetteSports.com pages checking out those sponsors, make sure you also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter so that you get updated on Long Beach sports ASAP. For everybody at GazetteSports.com and the Gazette newspapers, for Mike, for Tyler, for JJ.
You know that you are JJ yourself.
For Long Beach sports, we're going to see you guys in the stands this weekend. Another great season in the LBC, hopefully not ending too soon.